There are those that just want to be left alone, and those that just won't leave them alone. Which one are you? The Ernest Hancock Show.
Welcome back to Declare Your Independence with me, Ernest Hancock, here in Phoenix, Arizona. Hey, well, we're speaking to Ghada Talhami, and she's author of a book that's talking about the rise of influence of the Muslim women in the Arabic world and certainly in Egypt. And I'm really interested in your response because I don't understand Arabic culture, certainly in Egypt. Are they of a hive mentality, a collective? We serve, kind of like Japanese are ancestors and emperor. Maybe China is, emperor or the collective. We have other countries that are more tribal and so on. Afghanistan may be to their own families and tribes. And so, explain to me the culture in Cairo.
Well, I don't think that they are tribal or that they are high culture believing in an emperor or in a common god even. I think Egypt is one of the most westernized countries in the Middle East, maybe more than Lebanon, because it was the first to encounter French influence in the early part of the 19th century. What is the problem with all of these societies is that you have westernization. It is not complete westernization or modernization. So remnants of the old culture remains. The old Islamic culture, which is based on holy texts, on a common ethic that people all share together. And I think coming into the 20th century, what most of them complain about, what most Arabs and Muslims complain about, is the loss of their identity, the loss of their cultural identity, the loss of their national identity, because of the superimposition of westernization on them. That is the westernization of the third world in general, and the Middle East in particular, has not been a voluntary process. Indeed, one of the most famous religious leaders in Tunisia, Mr. Ghannouchi, who's now coming back to claim a role in Tunisia, has made a profound statement a few years ago. He said, for us, Arabs and Muslims, westernization came on the back of a tank. It was really imposed on us by colonization, by military means, etc., etc. Having said that, I think they're smart enough, and I think young people are smart enough to realize that they need westernization. You see? They need modernization, but on their own terms. That is the cultural revolution that you're seeing in this part of the world. By the way, they admire democracy. I admire democracy growing up tremendously. The question is, it should not be imposed on them for propaganda purposes. And I think that was happening during the last Bush administration, because the Bush administration tried to what we really call the imposition of democracy or the exportation of American democracy abroad. What's wrong with that? A lot is wrong, because there are different types of democracy.
Yes, exactly. Now, Ghada, that's one thing I wanted to ask you about, is that when you say westernized or Western culture or democracy or any of these other terms, that gets slung around a lot, even here in America, and it means whatever the heck they say it means. So I'm wondering, when you say westernized, that means what? For me to be, a real American, it's to be, the purpose of government is to protect my individual rights here in America. That was the promise that they made us. That's why this show is Declare Your Independence, okay? Mm-hmm. Because I understand the concept, the proper role of government, defense of my individual rights, my right to live, my right to sustain my life, my liberty, go and make stuff. And when I make stuff, it's mine. Mm-hmm. So this, when you say westernized, that's what I think of. What do they think of?
Well, you see, they think of the loss of their sense of community. I think you have to agree with me that in the United States, a lot of this loss has happened because of industrialization. You see, the parts of the world that are partially industrialized, most of the third world is partially industrialized, they're really in between. So the poor people cling to their communities. They don't want individual freedoms as such, because that is an empty promise. If individual freedom can really protect you, gives you a standard of decent living, well, yeah, you'd welcome that. See, that's where they really differ philosophically with Western countries. especially for women, by the way. Women have been called upon by the American feminist movement, for instance, to be individualists, to be out and about and to work and do all that. They don't seem to be able to do this without the cooperation of the family. The family remains as the center of their existence. And that doesn't make them tribal. That simply makes them more community-oriented.
No, the family is going to be the center of my existence too. So I'm asking: is that family existence? Does it welcome the concept of? See, when you say westernized or industrialized or any of this other stuff, that's side effects of stuff. That's side effects of a free market. Hell, the Arabic community, the Arabic culture, they were kind of the beginning of commerce. I mean, they were the most commercial people, known. So I'm going, it's not like it's lost on them. So I'm going, when I say freedom, or I'm talking about things like the ability to be able to contract and have those contracts enforced, using what? I mean, is it a cultural thing? Do I have to have the government? Does the government protect the bad guy from having to honor their contract? I mean, these are the kind of things I'm talking about. So in a family setting, if you would have a family, children brought up that they are the ultimate ruler of themselves, would that be opposed?
No, I don't think that would be opposed. And by the way, Islam calls on governments to honor contracts. Certainly Saudi Arabia honors contracts in the Sharia. The people who sell you on the idea that Islam is socialist is really wrong. That's nonsense. Islam encourages commerce, as you said. Islam calls on people to dress their best when they go to the mosque, because to display wealth is really a sign that God's eyes have approved of you. You see? It's almost like the Calvinist idea. It's the product of hard work. And so that is really welcome. Now, well, that's not what's happening in the modern world. What's happening, or what had happened since the 18th century, since the last period of the Ottoman Empire, is that the Eastern Mediterranean world has turned from producers to consumers. You see? So what they resent and they speak about always, in particularly the Islamist rhetoric, is the power of consumerism. The fact that their countries have become dumping grounds to Coca-Cola, cigarettes, things that they really don't need. You see? That's the crux of the matter. They even speak about becoming consumers of culture rather than producers of culture. That's a long historical process. Now, again, what I'm seeing is a very healthy revolution by young people, which are saying you cannot turn your back on the West. There's a lot of good things about Western countries, including the revolution of the Internet. Who created the Internet? United States. That's empowering individuals, empowering people. They understand that perfectly well. But consumerism is a problem, you see. Globalization has not been kind to the third world. Globalization, or the ideology of free trade, has meant that the stronger partner really sort of takes over your market.
Oh, our time went by way too fast. Hopefully you'll come and share with us again. Can we ask you to come on again? And
I would love that.
So would I.
Stimulating. I would love that.
Well, I tell you, we're in the middle of this. I'm going to need your help because can you hold on through the break here? Just hold on. I want to talk to you a little bit about our project. We'll be right back here on Declare Your Independence in just a little bit.